Hi guys, Bud here with Dependable Lawn Care. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install these side vents on your enclosed trailer. If your trailer is like mine and doesn't already have ventilation, you're definitely going to need that ventilation. Laid my vent up there like that, gave it some space around that trim, knowing that that trim coincides with the flashing and the trim on the outside. And then I drilled my 4-inch hole. You could do a 3.5, but 4 is what I have, and it'll work just fine. So one thing you got to remember, when I drilled this hole, as soon as I got through the plywood, I stopped, because this is exactly what I was concerned about, that there might be some wiring in the wall, and there was right there. So I have that pushed back out of the way, but just be mindful of that. So I stopped, checked for wiring, got the wiring out of the way, then I went ahead and punched my pilot bit through the outside metal, and then I'll drill my actual hole from the outside. So I'll take you around here and show you that. So you see the pilot hole right there, and this is gonna cover that hole and mount up just like that. So the hole's drilled. The next thing that I need to do is take my cover, and you can see this plastic flap. It's not a flap, but it's molded into it. But what that is it's a brake to keep rain from going into your vent hole. As you can see, as the wind flows through the vents, it hits that brake and goes down. Well, the wind can go around it, the rain won't. It'll go down and drain out. So anyway, what I've got to do is put silicone, clear silicone around this flange, and then lay it up there and screw it in place. And I have some self-tap, self-drilling actually. They're basically barn metal screws that I'm going to use to mount this up. Okay, so I have my silicone around the flange, and I have my screws ready. So that's how it goes, and you can't see the hole from the outside because that little plastic piece that's molded in just kind of curves around the bottom of the hole, but that will allow a 4-inch diameter airflow in the front. So I'm going to have one on both sides like that, and then one on both sides on the back with the airflow going the other way to let the exhaust and the heat evacuate. So basically I'm creating airflow through the trailer, in the front, out the back. So just a couple pointers on positioning these vents. One, where these rows of screws are at, those are your upright supports in the walls. And then the trim, it's actually kind of like a little gutter that runs across the top. That's where your support's going to be inside on top. So you'll have pieces running upright and then a piece running across the top. That gives you some reference. So when you get inside, you can measure off of those studs and that top piece, and it helps you to find a location to place that vent. You have to have some kind of point of reference to be able to position these and know that they're not going to interfere with anything else or be in the wrong place. This is where my hole ended up being in the back, but let me show you on the front ones. Okay, so where I have this mounted at, I mounted that into one of the uprights. Okay, and those uprights do not line up with the pieces that go across the top for the roof support. So what you have to do is, in the wall, look for the self-tapping screws that hold the plywood on, and that's where your studs are going to be. I know that mine is right where that's mounted because I used the stud to mount into it. I also know that I can feel the top of this beam, the top beam right there, and I know that where the flashing ends at the corner is just on the edge of the beam on the outside, or the almost like a stud, if you will. So anyways, that's how I could find the position, and I know that I'm not drilling into one of those supports or getting too close to the little gutter type trim on the top of the trailer. Same thing over here. I basically just mirrored the one on the other side. That one was really easy to find. And then the one back here, I went lower just simply to avoid the one buys that I had in place. I didn't want to drill through all of that. So I just went a little bit lower with that one. And again, I know I have a beam or a stud right there. So I just made sure I was far enough away from it that I wouldn't be interfering with it. So anyway, like I said, just some points of reference. These trailers can be very different from one brand or one make to another. So make sure that you know where the supports are at, the studs, the top beams, the wiring. You know, make sure that you know where that stuff's at before you go drilling, because it's not something that you can redo. You want to do it right the first time. Thanks for watching, guys.